I think some of the things where they want to talk about specific features that they've developed, which I think is sort of funny. Instead of like, why did you choose that? What made you drive to that conclusion? Like, give me the whys behind your thinking. I want to understand what you're thinking.
Exciting to have you on. We really appreciate you being here. I think a lot of people who listen to this, arguably the thing that they're most excited about, the thing that they love hearing the most, the biggest emails we get and comments and so on, is hearing about how someone in your place who's done an amazing job in their career has gotten to the place you've gotten to. Previously at some really, really big name companies, I'll let you say what they were, and gotten to where you're at, and they want to go, how do I get there? I want that. I'm 26 years old. I'm 29 years old. Maybe I'm a software engineer. Maybe I'm in product. I want to be on the VP of product at this awesome growing company. How do I achieve that? And they go, Michelle did it. What did she do? What's your origin story?
So my origin story is, oh wow. All right. Sorry about my son's bed in the background.
This is authentically us. That's the best part of it.
Oh wow. Anyway, so you can tell I work from home. So does my husband. So we divide and conquer. And occasionally I get my son to actually clean his room. Otherwise, I have the virtual background on. But I couldn't figure out the virtual background in this case. So anyway, my origin story. So I actually started on the technical side back in the day, and I was one of the engineers at a company which back in the day would have been called an ASP versus a SaaS, and we would have been called a small business instead of a startup. But I was doing a lot of patchwork for because of the way that we were selling and we were setting up some of our customers. So I was 26, and in all my glorious knowledge and muster, I came up with a proposal for a department within our organization that would help standardize how we do things. And it was part technical and it was part operations, so that we could streamline the onboarding of customers. This was back before the days of PLG and other things that would have naturally sort of done this. And as a 26-year-old, I put together the plan and I went to my CEO and I'm like, I think you should do this. And he sort of half patted me on the head and went like, okay, let me take a look at read this. And then he hired a VP of operations, and this thing had been like passed around to a couple of the VPs and leaders in the company. And he calls me into his office, and all of a sudden, like, he throws the plan on the desk in front of me, and he was like, "Did you write this?" And I said, "Yes, sir." And he goes, "Do you want to build this?" I said, "Yes, sir." And that's how I became the leader of the first team that I ever actually got to manage. And he was smart enough to put a couple people that had a few more gray hairs than I did. And he was a really good mentor. A couple of things that he did for me in that role was like give me so much work that I couldn't possibly keep doing my day job and manage the team. So it taught me how to delegate. It taught me how to be able to let go of things. It taught me like how to keep close enough checks on things to make sure things are going smoothly without like, no, let me just put my hands on the keyboards and do it for you. So yeah, it was a really, really good learning opportunity. And from there, I just sort of naturally progressed in both my management roles, and then eventually product management became more of a practice within software development, and I just sort of migrated to that. I was always one of those engineers that the salespeople would take on sales calls with them because I knew how to talk to people. And so it was like one of those where they would say like, so does your product do this? And I'd be like, when's your start date? Sure. Mm-hmm. And then I would take basically the features that the customers needed back to our development staff and work with the other developers to go like, hey, we need to build this. And we would figure out how to get it done. So I call that like the pre-product days.
Yeah, that was. In a lot of ways, we've talked to product people and we've talked about how product, and especially in the technology space, arguably didn't really exist 20 years ago, or at least wasn't called what it is called, maybe 25 years ago, there wasn't product people. There were technical people who
There were
knew
analysts, there were program managers,
business analysts,
there's
systems analysts, like you can call them dozens of different ways. Yeah.
12 different titles to do one thing. But I'd be curious. So one of the things that you said that like kind of lit me up a little bit was like you put together a proposal and you presented the proposal, and the CEO was like, are you the one that wrote this proposal? And ultimately the answer ended up being yes. I would love to understand, like, how did you have the courage or the support or the knowledge or the enter the blank of whatever it might have been to present that proposal in the first place? I mean, other than just being ignorantly bliss and 26 years.
Yeah, I mean, some of it is just being young enough to be stupid. I mean, I hate to say it that way. I think I've always been a problem solver, and it's one of the things I will say in product, especially. Like I always say, when I interview people or people interview me for product roles, for me, like product breaks down sort of simply. There's sort of the role of product in an organization, and there's the job of product. Role of product is really pretty simple as far as in an organization. It's to maximize revenue, right? It's to take a look at how your company is trying to gain revenue, whether it's reducing churn, whether it's net new logos, whatever it might be, and figure out how to maximize that. Now, the job of product is very much of an analyst. And I find that the best product managers I usually hire are very good analysts. They have an ability to intake a lot of information and amalgamate that down to a roadmap that's going to drive said revenue, right? So I think that is sort of the first key part of that. And I think I've always sort of been good at that. I've naturally sort of been able to take on a bunch of information. I was a fairly avid reader even as a kid. My father used to make me listen to like Sunday politics since I think I was 6, which has a whole different background we don't need to get to. But I think it made me sort of good at like figuring out how to deduce information into really what matters and what moves the needle. And so I think the reason I put together that proposal is I kept hitting I saw that we were losing money, that we were constantly, like, our customers would complain something was going wrong, and it was just inefficient the way we were doing it. And so it was figuring out how to solve that problem.
Yeah, I love it. I look at two things you did. One is problem solving. Two is you took a risk, right? You saw a problem, you created a solution to it, and then you took the risk to throw it in front of your boss going, he might hate this, I might look stupid, but so what? And I think a lot of, there's some benefit. You said you were young. I keep telling my kids, as we talked earlier, we got kids about the same age. Like, I've got these high school kids, and I keep telling them, remember back to the 8-year-old self. Remember when you were 8 years old, like, and my kids thought they were you'd ask them, what are you going to do when you grow up? And they're like, I'm going to play in the NBA. And then when I can't do that anymore, I'm going to play in the NFL. It's like, oh, so you're going to be a professional basketball player, then football player? And they're like, yeah. Of course. But the beauty of that is they enjoyed what they were doing, and they just thought they could do it. And then they hit, high school, and maybe they're the backup, or they don't get this. And all of a sudden it's, I'm not good. And they start to limit themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't because you were 26. So you said, I see a problem. I'm writing a proposal. It makes sense. I'm going to turn it in. And I don't know, they can throw it away. But, maybe the 36-year-old version of you is like, wow, that's going to ruffle feathers. And, ooh, some people are going to think that we're doing things wrong. And maybe they're going to, instead you were like, no, I'm solving a problem.
No road rash yet.
And so taking that risk and solving problems. And that's led you to where you're at now. So you're at 6 Sense.
Mm-hmm.
Tell us a little bit about what 6 Sense is doing and what you're doing there, where you see the product going, et cetera. Give us a little bit of a today update, if you will.
So 6 Sense was the company that really brought ABM to the market, which, I mean, is sort of cool. Like, they were sort of they were the category creators of it. And really, like, most marketing departments nowadays do ABM because because Sixth Sense sort of taught the market how to do it, which I think is super cool. What happens in the background is basically we de-anonymize IP addresses to different companies so that we can help customers understand. We can help our customers understand the intent of their customers, so the buyer's intent, right? So where they are in the market, whether they're interested in their products, whether they might be just sort of doing some initial poking around, or are they closer to a buying decision? So that's what our product does. We service both the marketing and sales industry, and we basically help both marketers and sellers streamline and optimize their resources, whether it's financial for marketing programs or workforce with sellers, making sure that they're going after the right opportunities. So that's what they do. Where we're seeing a lot of the direction of the market right now is there's a lot of budget consolidation going on. Obviously, like it's not 2022 anymore, and belts are sort of tightening, and people are being asked to figure out how to drive the same levels of revenue and the same efficiencies, but with tighter budgets.
Yeah.
So really for us, it's about helping sales and marketing understand that they're part of sort of one continuous pipeline, and that they both contribute ultimately to the outcome of revenue. So that's sort of where we're positioning at this point, and what we're trying to sort of drive towards and consolidate. Plus,
I was talking to a lot of people the other day, where we start seeing all of these like niche companies starting to pop up, right? So we're seeing a lot of people where it's like we've got these account-based marketing functions, and we've isolated things, and we're trying to narrow down into things. And everyone with AI is trying to talk about how sales 3 years from now is going to look dramatically different. I'm curious, based off of your perspective or potential insights, like how do you think things are going to change over the next 3 years with AI?
So this is like it's
Now.
I've lived through so many of these waves at this point. Like there's the big data where nobody, like you couldn't go more than 2 seconds without hearing big data, and there's some great technology that came out of that. The same thing happened then with the predictive and machine learning, and now like just the advancement of what is AI, which at the base of it, if you think about it, it's just large language models that are doing generative. So it's just another element of predictive. And I mean, the technology is going to keep improving. So how it's going to impact every part of the organization is going to be interesting. I mean, I think there's going to be definitely changes in technology and developers. There's going to be changes in UX. There's going to be changes even in product management. There's going to be changes in sales. There's going to be changes in marketing. Like for us to think that a technology that's this disruptive isn't going to change the landscape would be silly. I mean, if you think about how much data we could analyze even 15 years ago versus what we can do today, it's just night and day. So in the same way that our predictive models and other things got just drastically more accurate, you're going to see sort of the landscape. Now, how close are we going to get to automating humans out? I have a large amount of reservation. One thing that we have seen, which is sort of interesting, is while some of the base tasks like email responses and that kind of stuff can be automated, we're actually seeing an upswing of what I'll call like the folks training the model and configuring and giving context. And so it's almost like a shift of the resources you see. So it's sort of an interesting parallel. So, will it necessarily make sorry, my son just came in. Hi, I'm in the middle of a podcast recording. Can you leave? Welcome to my life.
Hello.
This is
and actually that's a part of life I wanted to get into, right? As we talk about this, one thing we like to think about, and this is why I like people who do have kids, because they can real quickly put their hat on to go, we can say what we're predicting, but then do we really live it? So you're in that process. You have kids, and they're at that stage where you're like teaching and training them as to what life is going to be like, and very soon in the not so distant future. I know this will probably make you scared or cry like it does me, but you got kids getting ready to go off to college, and they're going to be talking about majors, and you're trying to train them. And so you got to look at it and go, all right, well, what does the landscape look like in 10 years? Well, in 10 years, my kids will be a part of that landscape. How are you training them differently than maybe you went through it back then? Back then it was read as many books and get a 4.0. Maybe today it's, nope, I need you staring at ChatGPT all the time, or don't never stare at it, or whatever. Like, how are you shifting?
Yeah. It's funny. It's funny to actually watch because like my daughter's use of ChatGPT is like, it's like astounding. Like they're 14 and she's just like, oh, I did it to do this. And then I'm like going, I don't know if that's cheating or not. It's weird because it's like, it's a tool that they have to be able to learn how to use. But it's like, at the same time, you're like, okay, what part of the thinking did you do? I think, weirdly enough, I do think to some degree it's going to go back to sort of some of the things we saw, let's say in probably, I hate to say this, almost 100 years ago, where you had more majors in terms of thinking and philosophy and
Learning.
back to like people who where
like we have to be driving critical thinking. And
right. And I think when we were going to college, or when I was, it was like, what profession are you going to be? Like we were very profession focused. And I think now it's going to be like, what skills do you have? Right. Instead of like, and skills that could be potentially fungible between different roles, different things. Like when I say like, I look for people that are good analysts, I really, for the most part, don't look for, like, I look at some of their product experience depending on like what level I'm hiring, but some of the best people I've hired have never been in product. And it's usually like, how well do they think? How well can they analyze a problem? How well what curiosities do they have? What information do they seek to find out? And I think that's what's more interesting to me. I do think with the kids today, though, they don't know how to talk to each other. So their communication skills. I laugh. I'm like, there's too much of this. I'm like, talk to just
yeah.
talk. But
let me ask you this, right? So when you do imagine like interviewing product managers, like what are the common mistakes that you see, even with people that do have the skill set, even people that have done it before? What do you imagine are like the common mistakes that an average product manager makes in the interview process? Where it's just like silly mistakes, but it's repetitive and it happens often.
I think some of the things where they want to talk about specific features that they've developed, which I think is sort of funny. Instead of like, why did you choose that? What made you drive to that conclusion? Like, give me the whys behind your thinking. I want to understand what you're thinking. I don't really care what the feature does. Like, you can sit here and explain it to me all day long, but I'm like,
you're like, develop the how, not the what. Like, how did you get to where you're at? How did you think about the problem? How did you come up with like the trade-offs between what the business unit was going to do, how it was impacting customers, how it was going to drive revenue, why we believe this bet was more than this bet, how did we develop OKRs, how did we measure what we were building and why we were building it?
And one of the big things I ask people, and very few know how to answer it, which is funny. I say, take the most successful feature you launched. What are all the reasons you shouldn't have built it? And almost nobody can answer that. Even if you ended up building it and it was a success, and maybe there were more reasons to build it, you should have also known the reasons not to build it. And if you didn't go through thinking about the reason why you shouldn't build something, it's sort of like that positive reinforcement. Like if we only think about the happy thing, like, oh, it's going to do all these great things. It's like, okay, but what's the other? There's always another side, right? And it's
limit customer. It could limit acquisition. It could limit revenue in certain areas. It might drive adoption in this portion of the business, right. But you're going to get churn.
The technology is unknown. We might run a risk. It's like whatever it might be, right? Like you should know what were the risks going in and taking them, even if you knew them, right?
So it's good to be calculated risk taker, not just risk taker. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I mean,
We're talking about why some of us like to be rainbows, unicorns, and butterflies, and in the sky all the time. I'm just kidding.
No, I agree, Michelle. I agree. Shane, on the other hand, is just a risk taker.
well, and it goes back to even that, like, even giving my boss like the whole proposal. It's like, what's the worst that was going to happen? Like, if you, I used to talk about it as walking things to their logical end, right? Like, and I think very few people do that. I think we get very tied up in either risks or rewards, and then we don't walk things necessarily to their logical end. And it's like, and at the end of the day, like, what truly is the worst thing that could have happened? I mean, maybe the worst thing is like, how dare you come bring me this? You don't have gratitude for your job. But the likelihood is I had a relationship with him anyway. He saw my value. I had been working for the company for a couple of years. And so the worst that was going to happen is he was going to ignore it, right? Like, and then I'm out nothing, right? And maybe he'll appreciate the chutzpah to, like, go figure it out. Kind of thing.
Give it a shot. So, and I agree with a lot of this. And you mentioned some of these people don't come in with the potential things that have gone wrong, and they don't know how to describe that. They know the why. How important when you're doing the interviewing, or when you're even before the interview process, because I think a lot of people are like, cool, I'll crush the interview. How do I get seen by Michelle? How does she even see me? If I post my resume, what on there is making you go, yeah, I want to talk to this person? Because that's that arguably the biggest filtering stage. So we're a recruiting agency, right? So we're bringing, let's say we're working with you and you say, go find me a director of product. What are the things that you're going to look in that resume and go, these are the 3 I want to talk to. These are the 3 I don't. What stands out on that resume? That's not just a title. That's not just that you came from Google, therefore I'll meet with you. That really stands out to you to go, this one's really interesting.
Usually I like what problems did they face when they got there, and how did they solve them? Like, what did they help improve while they were there? Some people are great operations people, even from a product side. Some people are, like, process wise. Some people are really, really innovative. Some people so it just depends, like, what your, what's your background, and what did you help improve? It's one of the things when I interview for places that I always go, it's like, when I talk to people, my whole goal is, do I have the skill set to help you? Right. And I tend to be fairly conscious now, after many, many years, of what my skill set is. And so I tried to probe them at, like, hey, what problems are you having? Right. What are you trying to fix with your company? And do I feel like I can contribute to that? Because there's some things that I won't know how to fix, right? And I shouldn't take that role. And, you're going to, even if you like me personally, it's not going to be a good fit.
Yeah.
And so I think that becomes more important. You as a hiring manager, knowing what problems you have to fix and why you're bringing on the role, and being able to articulate that to a recruiter or anything else, so that when they're looking for things, I can give you, like, well, most people that have seen these problems would have been in these companies and these things at these growth points and these things. Like, I can sort of prep that. But that's ultimately, you're looking for the person that can help with the problems that you're having. Otherwise, why are you hiring them? Like,
outcome, right? So where they list off, I know we talk a lot about
goals, achievements,
achievements, and outcomes, right? So it's like you mentioned earlier, someone comes in and they want to talk about the feature that they built. The feature they built is awesome, and it might be the greatest feature of all time. But if the outcome, in your case, you mentioned product managers are revenue drivers, right? If it did not solve the revenue bottleneck that you were faced with, who cares what the feature? I don't care if you think it's revolutionary and innovative. It didn't solve the problem, right? It didn't have the desired outcome that you were looking for. So how much do you look into the outcome that maybe someone's feature that they built, or innovation?
Or even something different, which is like, are they net new revenue? Is it net new logo? Is it net new function? Or is it maintaining a system? Or is it optimizing a system? Or is it position?
I think everybody I think it's more like, how did you think about that problem to get to? Because look, all of us are fallible. Like, go, I did this and I did this and I thought I was going to do this and right? And you just you miss the mark. Like, and that happens, and you could swear that you think it's going to do these magical things and it doesn't. But did you at least go through the right thinking steps to get to those outcomes to that point, right? Which is like, we knew we needed to get to these outcomes. Here's what we did. Here's why we did it. Here's the either the research we went through or the thinking we went through or the prioritization we went through. And it either worked or it didn't. Hopefully you went back and figure out why it didn't work. It could be like, we thought the market was going to glom onto this and, we did some early testing and it looked promising and then it wasn't, whatever the answer is. But, yeah.
So a lot of it is the why. So it's really, it's being able to properly explain the why and articulate why the decisions you made were made, thinking through the goods and the bads and moving forward. I like that. So that's good. So again, I'm hearing, be a problem solver, take some calculated risk, and make sure that you can explain why you built what you built, why things were being done the way they were done. Otherwise, if you're just operating haphazardly, that's not what you want, and I can get behind that.
Well, and so I will tell you, the product managers I rarely ever hire or product leaders are when they were given priorities top down, because it tells me that they're not used to doing the reasoning and the thinking why. And it's sad because some people go up through senior director levels, never cultivating that skill set because of the roles that they've taken. I will try and push to see if they have the capability to do that, because sometimes it's just the roles that you've taken. But that's unfortunately, like, that's where I tend to make my
so and that leads a little bit into the culture in, we'll call it your department in Sixth Sense, maybe globally, is the idea that lower level, junior level people need to be the innovators. They need to not just go, Michelle told me to go build this, so I got to build it. But instead, be thinking, be autonomous, be smart, be a problem solver yourself. And that's what Sixth Sense, and that's why you guys are the leaders, because it's not waiting for your boss to say, here's the proposal. It's for you to go, I've got an idea to solve a problem.
Yeah. My quarterly planning looks like my PMs coming in with what they want to build. And they have 3 things that they have to come into the meeting with. Brief summary, what it does for the customer and what it does for us. So outcomes for customer, outcomes for success. Why do we want to build it? And then I just can't win. Unfortunately, we did this right at the end of school. I apologize.
So he made it.
They come in with those 3 things, and my job is really just to ask questions. Like, if I don't think it's been well thought out enough, why, push on them a little bit. Now, are there things that, because I know some strategic things that we're going to do, that I'm going to be like, hey, we also got to figure out how to fit this in? Yes, but it's usually like the 20%.
That's awesome. Well, that's great. So for all the people listening, I'm certain they're getting a sense, working with Michelle, being on the product team, Sixth Sense is awesome. How can they get a hold of you and connect with you, especially if they have more questions, etc.?
Best way is first on LinkedIn. Just I read messages. I'm actually really good about responding on LinkedIn, weirdly enough. I just don't be obnoxious.
All right, so reach out, Michelle, 2 L's, Michelle Bradbury on LinkedIn. Sixth Sense is the number 6 Sense.
Yep.
So go find you on LinkedIn, connect with you. I think that's great. All right, a couple of fun questions.
Okay.
You Mac or PC?
Oh, Mac.
Wow, you said that with so much.
Honestly, I have not had a PC. I have not had a PC since I work at Microsoft.
Well, that makes sense. iPhone or Android? I think I know the answer. iPhone. Yeah. Okay. Netflix, Hulu, Prime, Paramount, HBO, or Peacock? You got to choose one.
Oh, that's so hard. Probably Hulu.
I'm shocked. I thought for sure, this is a new fun question of mine. I thought for sure everyone
Favorite
would just
Hulu
go
show?
Netflix.
See, we do Hulu because they have movies and series. So but Netflix like those are hard. And then Amazon Prime sneaks in every so often.
HBO Max?
So as I said, I have a 14-year-old and a 16-year-old. So we have to watch some amount of shows that are appropriate for them. So we do like The Rookie and Will Trent and some of those, right? Which are like a little bit more family friendly. And then otherwise we've also like COVID was like we had them watch all James Bond movies, like every single one. And then we did like the entire Star Wars series and the entire like if there was a series that was made, we even like once you get past the F-bombs and Die Hard, like we even went Die Hard, like we were like whatever.
Judge me when I tell you that COVID was spent on The Last Dance and Tiger King. Was Tiger King? Is this an embarrassment that I'm telling you that my
I've never
children
watched Tiger King.
at the time,
Refused.
my kids are the same age. My oldest 17, youngest 11. Tiger King was something I'll never forget. And then I just had my 14-year-old watch Breaking Bad. Is that bad? That's really bad, isn't it? That's probably totally.
Not as bad as you watch Step Brothers.
We go back and forth on like what
I do.
things will allow and what like it's
I want to say you can't listen to music that has all the explicit in it, and then I'm like,
I introduced my son to Eminem, so I'm like, I'm like, if you're gonna listen to rap, can you listen to good rap? I mean, like,
I'm saying at least good music, and don't get me wrong, we strong house of faith, and they know that it's wrong. They have never heard Dad say a swear word ever. In fact, while they did supposedly heard me say it to my wife once when I was very upset about my kid getting a concussion. Otherwise, they've never heard me say a swear, but I can't.
I wish I could say the same. I use it more like color. I don't say it about people. It's more just like it's like punctuation.
Okay, because I am in the same boat. Going, I want my kids to watch stuff, but I want them to watch good stuff, and Breaking Bad is good stuff.
I know, and that's sort of where we were. Like that's why like some of the movies, I just didn't care. Like they're like, this is right there. I'm like, it's not that R.
Like I'll decide how R it is. Like, no, you can't watch full frontal. That's a little much. But meth cooking, yeah, you probably won't be able to figure out the chemical balance anyway.
So whatever.
You're fine.
Whatever.
All right, so we've taken a lot of your time. We appreciate this. So
I'm sorry for the constant traffic. I was just like,
it's fun. Again, we want people, and I will say this to everyone watching: if you are a leader in the technology space, a founder, CTO, CFO, CPO, VP, product director, whatever, and you want to come on, we love talking to you guys more about just life and how you're raising your kids in a world of AI and how that affects your day job and everything else than we do just wanting to hear business buzzwords that aren't real. So we appreciate.
You could be a badass mom while being the VP of product at a very, very reputable technology company. So
yeah, how about that?
Inspiration drop right here.
Yeah. Yeah. So your son actually played a wonderful part in our story today. So for everyone else, like, comment, subscribe. If you do know a founder, reach out to Shane or myself, or subscribe or DM or whatever you do. We would love to have them on the show. Michelle, thank you so much for joining us during a snowstorm. We appreciate your son for also joining us during the snowstorm. So thank you, and to everyone else, we will see you next week. Goodbye.